Good evening, and welcome back to Backoo Live. For anyone that doesn't know this face, it's made for radio. but I'm Pastor Noel Latexier, raised at Backoo, and we wanted to name this Backoo Live and reminisce some about life back then, and also share a little scripture thought along with that. So we hope that it brightens your day, makes you forget about all the stuff going on in our day-to-day lives today, and remember a simpler, happier time maybe. So thank you for joining us, and I hope you enjoy it as much as Diana and I enjoy bringing it to you. I talked to my brother Dickie this morning, and he and Dale Dahlstead were feasting on some fresh sausage that they had made, and so I've got to make a trip up there pretty quick before they eat it all. I love that venison pork sausage that they make and smoke, and Dickie's he's really good at that. And talked to my brother Billy, who lives in Backoo as well, and we reminisced about our crabapple capers back in the day. But it was fun. We had some good chuckles over that. It was good. It was good memories. But tonight, we're going to share about, our life here on this earth is a journey. From the time of our conception to the day the Lord calls us home, when our name comes up in the book of life and we go to join Jesus if we are a child of His, if we believe in Jesus Christ. It's a journey. And along that journey, there are a lot of physical little side journeys that we take, and spiritual journeys. Our life is a physical and a spiritual experience. And I was thinking about some of the little trips that I've been on, and one of them that happened when really young. I was spending the night at Grandpa Frank's on his farm there near Leroy, and I was going to go to school with the rest of the older kids in the morning. So we were going by stone-boat. Now, a stone-boat is a boat made out of stone that floats. You believe that? Well, don't. It's called a stone boat because not around Backoo and Leroy, we didn't have rocks in the fields. But you went a little further west and south, and they had all kinds of rocks in the fields. So they had these stone boats, which was simply 2 tree trunks fastened together with planks, and maybe it was 4 or 5 inches off the ground, and you could just roll the stones up onto it and get them off of the field. So they called it a stone boat. But it wasn't anything that was going to float in the water, I'll tell you that. But since we didn't have any rocks, the stone boats that we had, and Grandpa had, we used to load the manure on from the barn. And we'd get it loaded on the stone boat, and we'd haul it out to the field and spread it off on the field. So we got to handle that a lot. You haul the feed in to the cows in the barn, the horses, the pigs. You haul it in, and then you got to clean it out, load it on the stone boat, haul it out in the field, and spread it around in the field. So we got a good workout doing that. And we did with a couple of cows and the goats and whatever we had. We'd load that stuff up on a stone boat. So the younger generation probably wouldn't have any idea what a stone boat was, but that's what it was. Well, anyway, I stayed overnight at Grandpa Frank's there, and I was going to school with them the next morning, and we were taking a stone boat, and Duke, Grandpa Frank's horse, was going to pull the stone boat. That's how they got to school every day. And Duke was, I don't know what you'd call Duke, but he was a wild horse. He never was broke, I don't think. So when we all pile on the stone boat, and there's nothing to hold on to, it's just a flat platform, and so we're on there, and Duke takes off wide open. That's the only pace he knew, was wide open, and so we went straight across the fields in a diagonal line from the farm to the school in Leroy. And that field was rough. There were lumps and everything else in it, and we'd hit those lumps, and we'd fly in the air and come down, and I didn't think I was going to live through it. I figured we're going to die. And then when we got to Leroy, to the barn, he knew exactly where he was going. He knew where his journey ended, and he would stop dead. Just plant his feet and stop dead. And he tipped the stone boat over every time. My Aunt Louise was telling me that, because I only rode it the one time. I wouldn't get on it again. But every day he did the same thing. He'd just plant his feet in the stone boat would tip over, and his journey was done until it was time to go home again. But yeah, that's how they got to school. You know, it was a dangerous journey just getting to school. But in the wintertime, you know, that's how they got there. And another time, some years later, in 1966, I was in Chicago. It was a little different journey. And I thought I was going to die there too. At the tender age of 23, I was downtown Chicago, and I got a cab to take me to O'Hare Airport. And this cabbie, I don't know if he was having a bad day or what, but he was cursing at me before I even got in the cab, because I wasn't moving fast enough. And from the moment I got in the cab until we got to O'Hare, he never stopped cursing and screaming at everything on the road, and the foot to the floor, just going wide open, weaving in and out of the traffic. And there again, I thought, man, oh man, I'm not going to live through this. So some of these journeys we are on in this life, they can get pretty hairy. Seem like you're going to die. And, you know, and there's a couple other things that came to mind, too. One of my first things I did when I went to work for Abrahamson Brothers was I got a 41, 40 or 41, I'm not quite sure which it was, 40 or 41 Ford coupe. It was one of those bathtubs turned upside down. Anyway, so this day one summer, I went to work. Well, Dickie and Billy, they were at home, and you know they're looking at that car there, and you know, and they're thinking, well, we could take that car and go to Leroy, down to the beach on the Pembina River that we had, our swimming hole. You know, we could go down there and have a good time. So they took my car and went down there. Ruth Ann went with them. And come time to get home, and they were goofing around and making Louis in the field that they needed to go through to get to the beach. And Dickie fell out the car door, and Billy ran over him. You know, he can laugh about it now because he didn't kill him, but it ran over his shoulder, broke his shoulder blade. So there they go. Another journey that was supposed to be a good time that turned bad, and Dickie had to get hauled into Cavalier to get his shoulder put back in place. But you know, we had quite a time with kids falling out of the car. And another occasion, Ruth Ann, she wasn't feeling well, and so Tilly Cook and Ma took her into the doctor in Cavalier. And after they were done with the doctor, they stopped and got some candy, gave it to Ruthann, and she's sitting in the back. And Tilly had one of these cars with the suicide doors, they called them, where the back doors open to the front. Well, she dropped her candy, and so she grabbed that door handle and went to pick up the candy. And when she pushed down on that handle, it flew open and just threw her right out of the car onto the gravel road. And so there she was. She thought they were going to leave her there and laying on the road. So she jumps right up and starts running after the car. She survived too. It didn't have any permanent damage. A few stones in her hair, but yeah, quite the experiences on these little trips. That shouldn't be life-threatening, but sometimes things go bad. And and it's the same with our spiritual journey. Sometimes we can get into situations that, boy, we shouldn't be in. We've done something that we shouldn't have done, and we find ourselves in harm's way. The devil's trying to get to us. So we need to really be careful. But we always know if we are trusting Jesus, that He's with us, that He will never leave us nor forsake us. And there's a scripture in the Bible in Exodus, when Moses went into Egypt to bring the Hebrews out of Egypt. God sent him over there to get them out of Egypt, out of that slavery, and bring them to the promised land. He put a cloud in front of them in the day to guide their journey, to get them where He wanted them to go. That cloud was in front of them always during the day, and at night He had a fire spout in front of them to guide them where they were going to go, to give them light. And it never left during that journey. They always had the cloud during the day to lead them, and the fire at night to lead them, to show them the way. The Lord was with them. He provided their food, the manna, everything. He'd taken care of them. The Lord was with them, just as He promises He's with us. I will never leave you nor forsake you, He tells us. And He's faithful to every promise that He makes. Always. Always. You can trust the promises. In fact, I just ordered a book that I'm anxious to read, that Yvette Carey and Danielson had recommended to me, about trusting God. And so maybe later on we'll say a word or two about trusting the Lord, because He can be trusted, not like some of these things we hear today that we shouldn't trust, can't trust, but we can trust Jesus. For sure we can trust Jesus. So keep that in mind. Keep that in mind. I have, let me just check my note here. 10 minutes before we went on tonight, I had a message from my son Matt, who has run into a health situation with his heart. He has viral pericarditis, I believe it is, which is fluid around his heart, and he's been really suffering with pain, and I just would ask that you would pray for him, that the doctors will be able to find a way to relieve that pain. It's been about a week now, and it's worse now than ever. And so if you would join us in our prayers for Matt and his wife, December, that he would get relief and that this would be eliminated from his body. There's a lot of health issues that people have, families have, and I mentioned a couple of weeks ago about my sister Carol and her cancer of the breast, and she had surgery today, and the reports are coming back, and they're very encouraging, and so she thanks you for her prayers, for your prayers for her, and I certainly do too, and she's going to be well. She's going to be fine. I just know it. She's a tough gal. So I just appreciate your prayers and thank you for them. And so you can teach your kids what a snowboat is. Stone boat. Yeah, a stone boat. So God bless you. Thank you, and we'll see you next Wednesday at 7.